Hello, my name is Rinon, and as I am recording this video, the first of 3 fan festivals for FF14 is just wrapping up. The Las Vegas Fan Fest in NA has just finished, and the upcoming 2024 expansion for the game Dawntrail has officially been announced. They talked about a whole host of features coming out for the game with the new expansion. I know that for me at least, during the keynote they spoke about how much they want to focus on quality of life and adding features that people might find useful into the game next expansion. They also showed some really good quality of life features like multiple die channels being implemented next expansion, and a feature that was barely touched on. They showed a screenshot, they talked about it for 1 minute, and then they moved on. But this feature has me so interested and intrigued. It's the collaborative strategy editor. I think that if they do this right, this could be one of the greatest additions to FF14. I know that we have raid plans and we have toolboxes out there, but I feel like having all of these resources brought into the game and made available for every single player and editable in an easy way for every single player, and you are able to collaborate within a party to find what suits you best, is an amazing change. So what I want to talk about today is what I feel they need to do to make the collaborative editor the feature that it deserves to be, and the feature that players really need. Because they could do this right, or they could do it wrong. Okay, so before we talk about what I'd like to see, let's talk about what we actually see in the very small 1-image preview that we got. So first of all, you have a strategy board and you can collaborate with what I assume is either the other players in your party or the other players in your duty. It shows 8 players on the preview, but it seems like there's space for up to 24 players. We'll see if that's true or not. You can also see that there's a little pencil icon, which seems to indicate that that player is currently editing the strategy board. I wonder if you can have multiple players editing at the same time, or if you have to take it in turns to edit. I don't know which is true, but I suppose we'll see in the future. You can also see saved strategy boards and received strategy boards, so you can save a set of favourite strats, much like the way that you can save sets of favourite waymarks. You can also receive them from other players, so what I assume is the case is, let's say for example you go into your P9S PF, the PF fills, and then the party leader can send the strategies the group will be using directly in-game via the strat board to the other 7 players. They can all open it, check it, find their spots, accept the ready check, and then you go in, and you can assume that everybody should be on the same page immediately because you have sent them the strats you'll be using in-game. Even console players have absolutely no problem seeing all the strats, seeing all the images. They can reference them as needed, they can save them for future use. Seems very useful, right? Now we look over to the image itself, the collaborative editor. You can place down waymarks on the right hand side. You can see they have the A, B, C, and D waymarks down. You can place down player and job specific positions for the mechanics. You can see the 3-man stacks here with the tanks spread away from the group. You can place down enemy positions. And one thing that I think is really interesting here, and actually might be a game changer for prog players, is you can see the AoEs coming out at that time. Now what I wonder is, are the sizes and shapes of these AoEs auto-generated or not? Because if these AoEs are auto-generated, as in it generates for you the correct size and shape of an AoE, it would actually alleviate so much prog time and so much of the trial and error that blind prog players have to go through in terms of how big is this AoE? Can we stand here? Do we need to stand a step out? Where do the markers need to go relative to the floor of the arena? You can already see in the strat image how big the AoEs exactly are going to be, and where they will end in relation to the lines on the floor in the arena. I wonder if that's true, because if they are not auto-generated, as in if you have to make the size and shape of these conal or circular or any other type of AoEs yourself, I feel like it would be a nightmare for the average player to put together a strat image that actually directly one-to-one relates to what's happening in game. So that's why I kind of have a feeling that Square Enix might just give you, these are the list of AoEs and you can just put them in, or these are the list of mechanics, you can bring one up and then you can place the players as needed, right? I feel like that might be what they do, and if they do, it's a game changer even for prog players, just because it shows the size of the AoEs and so on the floor. So now that we've seen what we have actually had as a preview, which overall is not that much, but it gives us enough to get an idea, here's what I hope that they do. Because if they do a bunch of these things, this strat editor can be robust and incredibly useful for a variety of different purposes. So, first of all, I think that there should be the option to have this on screen in the same way that you have your minimap available on screen, mid-pull to use as reference. I feel like at this point, honestly, everybody has heard the tale of the person who is bad at memorizing a certain thing, so they get a post-it note and stick it next to their monitor so that they can refer to it. Why not have that in game? If you can have a smaller version of the strat images up on screen, mid-pull, the same way you would have a minimap, you could maybe drag it into the corner of your screen. Imagine how useful that would be to get players through mechanics more consistently, having them be able to access the reference point mid-pull. So I hope that this is a possibility. Number 2, I think that we need to have multi-slide strats, because, let's be real, mechanics in Final Fantasy XIV have gotten very complicated compared to the way they were a few years ago, and a lot of the headline mechanics, both in Savage and Ultimate nowadays, are not just you go to one spot and the mechanic resolves. They might be a sequence of 3 to 4 different positions that each player has to go through. So I feel that you should be able to make a multi-slide strategy that will all save in one single strat slot, rather than needing to be individually saved, so that players can condense those strats into one total package that has all of the information required. I actually feel like if they don't have this, this would be quite a big issue. Following on from this, as well as multi-slide strats, I feel like it would also be good to be able to group strategies together. Let's say for P10S, you have a slide for the first bonds and for the second bonds and for the third bonds and so on. You have like 4 or 5 different slides in total that show players' positions and the way that you deal with a mechanic. For each mechanic in the fight, you should be able to group all of those together in one single package and send those out to other players, the sending and receiving and saving them as a single package, so that you can easily share strats and easily get people on the same page for entire encounters. And building on top of this, you see the way that each job is located on the strat board. There should be an option, especially in conjunction with what I just mentioned, for players to click on one job icon. Let's say they click on the left tank icon, and that tank icon should light up and you should be able to tab through every single saved image relating to that strategy or that encounter. Let's say you've got 5 or 6 different slides and you can tab through them, and that tank icon's positions are lit up for every single one. So you can go in, you receive a strategy from the party leader, you open the strat up, you go, okay, I am R1, and you click on the R1 icon, and then it lights up for every single position, and you can see all of your spots easily, clearly, and with no confusion. I think this will be a really simple implementation, and I think that this will be so useful to get PFs on the same page. Next up, you can share them in-game. I think you should also be able to share them online. It would be brilliant if every time you saved a strategy, it generated a code linked with the strategy, and you could share that code online. You could send that code to another player through Discord or any other app. You could save it, say, in the video description of a guide, and somebody could take that code, they could input it into the strategy editor, and it will bring up the strategy that was created. Because while it's good that you can save them and receive them in-game, I think that having to go through this slow word-of-mouth propagation of the strats is kind of a hassle, and being able to save them online and share them that way would be so much more convenient. So hopefully something like that will be in place. I guess another thing to talk about is the fact that there is a boss icon in the middle of the arena in the example image. I hope that we will be getting a bunch of different icons as new bosses get added to the game, and we will have different icons for ads and bosses and stack markers and spread markers and arrows to show the rotation that you may be taking for a certain mechanic. You know, the way that GPOs has a bunch of different robust stickers that you can use for all kinds of different screenshots. I'm hoping that the strategy board has a bunch of different in-game icons, also the tank buster icon, the tank buster cleave icon, things like that. Knockback icons, everything. I hope that we have a robust suite of different icons that you can use to show what is happening in game and how you deal with it effectively. They can really make this into an incredible tool that players will use for years going forward. It'll be so useful, and it'll be a way to more further include console players that maybe cannot easily access web browsers at the same time, and also players that have one single monitor. And I just really hope that they do this right. I really hope that they do this right, because it could be amazing. I'm so excited at the potential that the collaborative strat maker has, and I just really hope that it lives up to that potential. I'm going to be eagerly awaiting more news on this feature, and if you end up going to one of the 2 following FanFests, the next one is going to be in October in London, please, if you get to ask Yoshi P a question, ask us to show more of the strat editor. I'm so excited. I hope it's good. Thank you so much for watching, friends. I hope you've had an amazing day. I hope you really enjoyed either attending or watching FanFest. And I hope that 7.0 is a great expansion. I will see you later. Have a fantastic rest of your day.